introduction, and then I'll bring us on, and that should be fine.
All right, excellent.
Okay, go live. I didn't start us live before the thing went on, so I feel like I feel like I failed. It should have been up 15 minutes early. All right, let me do the introduction. Well, hello, folks. I'm Wes Allen from DM Tales, and I am really excited to welcome back to the show my first repeat guest, by the way, so there's no pressure at all. But I am joined today by the only DM Scotty of Easy D6 fame. Hi, Scotty. How are you?
I'm great. Hey.
It is great to have you on today. I'm really, really excited.
Thank you.
So, just for folks who may not know, and I'm pretty sure that most folks already know, is that who are you and why are you on my show?
About 12 years ago, I started this little experiment where I was doing making terrain out of cardboard, and it kind of caught on, and it sort of like started this whole revolution with terrain and games. I was definitely not the first to do it, but I think I was the first with the cheap stuff, right?
Okay.
Just using trash and that kind of stuff. You know, there were people that did Hearst arts and all that kind of stuff, the really complicated, messy stuff. But I was the first to do it really cheap and just use junk around the house. And so a lot of people know me as the craft father. So, but then I love games as much as we all do. And I wanted a game that fit my table, and I made Easy 6. So.
All right.
That's my second.
And that's where we are. So and this is kind of really cool. So you are here because there's something new coming out for Easy D6, and I'm not looking at you because I'm trying to you're clipping a little bit, so I'm trying to see why that's going on with you. I have my limiter on and everything, so I don't know what's going on. But anyway, let's talk. So you had this wildly successful game because Easy D6, and I hear you repeat this constantly. It stays on like the front page of Drive Through RPG. Which is
I'm
really
astounded. Cool. I'm astounded.
Yeah, I mean it's really, 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 really cool. So, but now you're coming out. You did a second book for it because you did the Book of Quests, and that was really successful and very well received. But you didn't change the game really at all for the Book of Quests.
No.
So now you've got this Wasted Worlds book coming out. And in the back of your mind, is there anything going at you? Do not screw this up. Do not screw this up. Is that something that's part of what's going on?
Oh, like the pressure?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a great question. And I think I was just having too much fun with the play testing of it to really worry about that.
Okay.
And I knew I had something.
Okay.
The very early play tests, I knew, because I love the genre. I love post-apocalyptic.
Okay.
So my heart is in it, and from the early playtests, I knew that I was definitely onto something.
Okay, awesome. So you kind of knew right away that this was actually going to be okay.
Yeah, this is going to be good. Yeah, I'm like, this is going to be good.
Because I would have been completely freaking out. So that's gonna you're more mature than I am. So. The book is Wasted Worlds. This is your first official expansion. There have been other expansions to Easy D6, but you didn't do it. So this is your first one. It is post-apocalyptic. But you came up with this really interesting way to describe how society collapsed. And can you just describe for folks what it is that caused society to just go kaput?
Yeah, I thought it'd be fun. I'm certainly probably not. I don't think I'm the person that's originally thought of this idea. But we all think it's going to be from climate change or war. I think a couple really bad things that would happen could really cause an apocalypse that we've kind of created as a society.
We're good at it.
Yeah, but I thought let's make it totally out of the hands of the people. It's just like an event that happened, right? And they have a lot of TV shows based around that kind of stuff, like The Leftovers, where part of the people just disappear, right? Or those kind of weird things, right? I wanted something like that, something that was interesting, but also I could tie into the psychic powers in the game itself, right? That's the source of the psychic power in the game.
So
right.
instead of like the classic is like radiation gave you all these mutations, which mutations don't work that way. And you went, no, we're kind of come up with a new MacGuffin to create all the
Right,
post-apocalypse.
exactly. And I do have something to tell you real quick. I just got word from Brandon at Runehammer that the test copies are shipping, so I should have it soon. So the game should be out here really soon. So we're getting closer.
I
We're getting
am
to that last part of the race.
I'm really excited. I mean, I did. You sent me the PDF, and I was very. I should say, folks, I did get a PDF for to prepare for the interview, but that was all.
Yes,
And I
yes.
will be buying it,
Thank you.
which is fine. And actually, so we have our first question from King Eric, the greatest of all. Is there a pre-apocalyptic version?
Uh
This is an interesting question. By what do you mean
yeah,
by
yeah.
that?
Yeah.
So,
Yes, actually, I have a friend who's running it, kind of stripping the psychic stuff out of it, and it's more like a zombie apocalypse. So,
okay,
yeah, the cool thing about it is you could raid Wasted World for like a more modern take on it, like
yeah,
because there are guns and everything in it.
uh-huh.
So you could just take those guns and run with them. Because I've actually used them in other when I've done other play tests with like I have vampire hunters and some other stuff. Use those gun stats for like those games. So yeah, you could definitely raid this game for all kinds of stuff.
Cool. I do want to
Hmm.
talk about that at some point too, with how you handle guns. We'll talk about that in a little bit. So,
Yeah,
but you have this, and you came up. So the name of the apocalypse is the Psycho Storm. Did I remember
yeah,
that
yeah,
correctly?
yeah, yeah.
Which is just it screwed everything up. It changed the climate. It did everything. Like the
Right,
world
right,
is literally a wreck,
right,
which is
right.
great. So obviously, just from reading the book, one of your key influences is Mad Max.
Oh, totally,
And I mean, we'll talk about
totally.
the vehicle rules in a minute. Are there some other influences that kind of drove the design of Wasted World besides the obvious one? Is there some other post-apocalyptic stuff that you're kind of banking on for that?
Right, right. I love all those like '80s movies, post-apocalyptic games, and I've grabbed stuff out of them. There's something in the book that mentions like soylent vats, which are like the goop that that they make at holes that you eat. So
It's
there's all
people.
those little kind of
It's
things. Yeah,
people.
you're not supposed to ask what's in the vat, right? But there's all those little kind of things in there. Like Damnation Alley and Neon City, and there's just all these great sci-fi post-apocalypse worlds that I just grabbed from.
You know what I didn't catch? Was there anything from Logan's Run you buried in there that I might have missed?
I don't think I really have anything from Logan's Run now.
Okay, because that's my brain is
Yeah,
gone. I didn't see anything. That would be one.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Nothing particular.
So, I mean, I think you and I are about a very similar age. So this is your first official expansion for EZD6. You went to post-apocalyptic. So other than growing up when we were all basically assured that we were going to die in nuclear fire, what made you want to go to post-apocalyptic for your first official expansion to EZD6?
Because I like the absurdity of it, right?
Okay.
Like there's, you've got killer mutants on one end and like, fortified ice cream trucks, on the other. It's like you just have craziness. You have a license to go crazy, basically.
Did
And
you?
what I like to do when I run games is like the players see something and they misconstrue what it is. Like I'll say, you think that this is something that it's not, right?
Okay.
Because they don't know the history. They don't know what it is. They don't necessarily know what this thing is, right?
It's
So
weird. Yeah.
yeah. So you start describing this stuff. The players know, but the characters don't, right?
Gotcha. Okay. Oh, that is actually cool.
Yeah.
And that's to say, like, I'm running Numenera right now, and that's like the same thing they tell you. It's like, do not call a thing a gun. It's like a shooter. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
that's fine.
Right, right.
Which did you ever play Gamma World back in the day?
I did, yeah.
Okay, that was my second ever role playing game. Was that first edition with the gray scale with them looking at the ruined city. So it's like post apocalyptic, always like stuck in my head for all of
Right.
that. I
Yeah,
do have a statement from King Eric, the greatest of all, which again is the greatest name for YouTube ever.
it is.
Scotty would like a board game called Fury Road Vendetta. Have you ever heard of that? It's basically Mad Max in a board game.
I have that game. Yes, I did back the game.
Oh, you backed it.
I backed the game,
Okay, so this
and
is the 18th episode, and King Eric has been asking about board games people have played. You are the first one to actually have played one.
oh, really?
Yes.
Actually, I have Thunder Road. Is that the same one he's talking about?
Fury
It's
Road is what he said.
Okay, okay. I have Thunder Road. Or I think it's Thunder Road, which is like there's this company that puts out old games from the past, from my childhood, and that's one of them because it was after Mad Max. This game came out, right? And it's really a fun, really quite a fun game.
That's awesome.
But they did Dark Tower and all this kind of stuff.
Oh, they're the ones that redid Dark Tower.
They reissued the Dark Tower, which is phenomenal.
I need to get that. I need to get my hands on. I played that game.
Yeah, it's really fun. It's really
so
fun.
much. Is the tower is just basically you throw your phone in it now, right?
Yeah. You use like an app to run the game, and the tower spins, but it does things like it gives you curses at certain points by things lighting up. It drops skulls onto the board, and you have to put those on your buildings. And if you get a certain amount of skulls on your building, it's destroyed, and you can't use that building anymore.
No way.
So
they expanded it too.
Yeah.
Oh, that excites me. I'm like the nostalgia nerd is coming out. Like I just remember cool. I still can picture the graphic for when you tried to haggle at the bazaar and it closed on you.
Oh yeah.
Like I can't pay that much. I'm like, oh shoot, every time. So another question is, are you a fan of the Fallout video games?
Oh yes, definitely. Yeah, those are a lot of fun too.
Gotcha. Yeah. So let's get back to the topic on hand, although we could probably talk about Dark Tower for the better part of 4 hours.
Of course. Yeah, we could.
So this is based, so you're using the same mechanics from EZD6, but you do have some term changes that come in. So you don't have hero paths anymore. They're now survivor paths. Or you just call them survivors. Are they not even paths? Is it just
I did call them, they are called survivor paths.
Okay, survivor paths. Yeah. They don't have a miraculous save anymore. They have an avoidance save.
Right. So that's I thought that thematically was more appropriate than miraculous save. Yeah.
So when you come in, so now there's a thing that gets referenced in the book a lot, the sure death save.
Yeah.
Is that essentially using the avoidance number for the hero paths? Is that what the idea is? Or how does the sure death save work?
Yeah, the sure death save is one of the, if you get in a situation where you're almost certainly gonna die, right?
Okay.
If you make the save, then you survive with 1 strike.
Right. Which is the way the miraculous save works in EZD6, right?
Yeah. So the miraculous save could be, usually it's not used as a sure death save. It's just you 1 strike, 1 miss on the avoidance.
Okay.
But there, if it says sure death save, that means that, you either die or you survive with 1 strike.
Gotcha. Are you using your avoidance number to make the roll? Is that how the mechanic works? Okay.
Yeah, the avoidance is what makes the roll. Yeah.
I think that's the way it works, because that's the way it works in EZD6.
It does. Yes. Yeah. That's correct.
And that's like if you're caught in the cavern that's like collapsing on you, like that's the idea.
Right.
It's real. I just love the simplicity of it. It's like, you could roll this, you might die, spend karma, have fun. Right. But then you made a change to magic in this game. Because one of the cool things about EZD6 is that you just have the style of magic and how you do things, but there's no spell list.
Right.
Now you have this hero path called Weirds, and they are your, magic using group in this. And you came out with something that looks a little bit like a spell list for these guys.
Yes.
So what kind of went into the change for that to make Weirds a little bit more defined in what they could do?
Right. I felt that I thought the Psychers should have a more defined kind of abilities that they could do.
Okay.
And these are basically sold to you as inclinations, right? So you get these as weird inclinations, right?
Right.
Because a lot of the hero path or survivor paths now have their own inclination lists.
Yeah.
So they have the main list, and then they have a separate list just for them.
And that was one of the things that I found interesting, even with the magic. how hard was it to balance the game? Because you have added some complexity in how you build characters,
Oh, definitely.
how magic works. There are lists where you know now are rolling a die greater than a d6, which is like it's like no, what is going on? Um, so what was like? How hard was it to create that balance to where you keep the speed and that real subtle? I mean, it's gonna sound like I'm gushy, but that real subtle elegance of Easy D6, where you sit down and you go. Now
Right,
you have a
right,
little bit
right,
more complexity into it. So how did you balance it out to keep that feel in the game now that you've added these elements?
right. Um, I feel like the characters are a little more complicated to create, but not much.
Right.
Like if you have any experience with Easy D6, it's super easy to make a character. And I have, and during a lot of the playtests, I would just have people make characters right there, and it still took about the same amount of time to make a character
Yeah.
as it would for Easy D6.
Hmm.
So I really didn't find, although they had a few more options, I didn't really find that it was a problem as far as the link to build a character.
Like
It's
they're not
nothing like some other
overwhelmed.
games.
Yeah, they're not
No, they're
overwhelmed
not.
by all the options. Whereas
No,
like
no, no.
you need D&D Beyond to make a 5e character or you're just
Right.
lost.
Right. Oh
So
yeah. Oh yeah. Totally.
we won't talk about that again. But it's so you still have that flexibility and that's there.
Oh,
Um,
totally.
which is and I like how you balanced it and changed it out. Are there any plans to kind of do some of the things that you've added, like some of the concepts that you've added to Wasted World and bring them back into Easy D6 Core, or are you going to let these two things stay separate?
No, I do want to add some stuff to Easy D6 Core, and one of them is edges. The
Oh, okay.
characters have two edges, and they
Hmm.
can choose one of the edges to start, right?
Yeah,
And it's a really hard choice because they're both great.
they
Like
are.
most
They're
of them are
really
really
good.
good, right?
Hmm.
So I already have the list of edges for the Easy D6 characters
Oh,
ready.
okay.
So I've done that. I've done some other things. I did a thing with like fame, the fame of the character. So as well as
Oh,
like a wealth level, the character would have a fame level.
oh, cool. What is like?
Yeah.
So, what does fame get you?
So basically, it'd be mostly role play, just like the money, just like money is an Easy D6, right? So
Okay,
like if you're despised, people close the shutters as you come by or
okay.
whatever, or if you're mildly famous, people are like, oh, those guys that did so and so. I don't remember what they did, but they did something really cool.
Oh, that's so cool. I told you last time I wrote a trilogy of adventures that were essentially Hallmark movies
Uh-huh.
in Easy D6. And so their fame grew through the three adventures. And so that would have actually
Right.
really come in handy. Because like the last one, they're up on the platform waiting for these monks with this famous egg to show up. And they're all like, what are we doing here? Like, no, you're the famous people. You have to be here. Which put them in a brilliant spot to stop a cart from running over the mayor. It was a good time.
And I
Um,
think one last thing. I think
yeah.
the edges also for like regular Easy D6 also help with some characters. They're kind of like people are like feel like the warden's kind of an underpowered character. If you have the warden in the right situation, it's a great character,
Oh, yeah.
right?
I love the
But
warden.
but it could be underpowered. Any character could be underpowered depending on what situation you're in, right?
Yeah.
If you have a warrior, they're underpowered if you need like a bunch of social things, right? I mean,
Hmm.
it's just how it goes. But the edges, I think, give a little power bump to those characters,
Okay.
and there's some really cool edges for those characters to like the warden. The warden has some great like edges, a couple great edges.
All right.
So
Now I got a bunch of
another
what edges are going to give the warden?
the warden has one. I can't remember the second one, but the warden has one where they're like a deadly shot, and nothing can be over 4+ to hit for the warden to shoot it.
Oh,
Yeah.
because you have some creatures that are rough to hit. Oh, that would be
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, 5 or 6 to hit, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Interesting. Does it change their crit at all? Or do they
It
still have to
doesn't
hit a
change their
6?
crit. It doesn't
Okay.
change their crit, but if you need a 5 or that's less. You're spending less karma.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. So that's a pretty cool
Oh, I like that.
advancement for that character.
I like that a lot. And
Where no one else has that.
let's go back to Wasted World because we're all over the place.
Yeah, we
We've
are.
talked Dark Tower, we're talking putting stuff back.
We
Um,
are.
so what are some of the cool edges that you've thrown into the Wasted World survivor paths?
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. I have muties, which there's kind of an inclination for mutant list
Uh-huh.
where there's an inclination where you can get a mutation, so you can have one of the mutations. There's also an inclination where you can pick one weird power,
Uh-huh.
so you can kind of
Oh,
multitask your character, right?
yeah.
And I had a hunter character that she took one of the mental powers, which was really cool. When the psychic powers, which was really cool. That
Yeah.
inclination, and she also took this thing where she could make armor from like creatures. So she had this like crazy bone armor or whatever that she
Right.
made,
Oh,
and
cool.
she actually terrified like a gang boss with it. Like she snuck up on him and like grabbed his neck and was talking all crazy, and then she had this crazy armor on that looks like a monster, and freaked the guy out. So it was a really great role play moment.
Uh-huh.
So that's cool. So the hunter can make, the hunter can make like armor from like bits and bobs of like creatures, and they get either a bonus to intimidation or a
Uh-huh.
bonus to impress because the armor looks so badass,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
right?
That's actually one of the cool things is that armor in this game isn't really, really important, and you can upgrade it. So
Yes,
you're
yes.
not like your armor save is a 5 and it shall always be a 5. You can
Yes,
actually go
that
out and
is so
stick on some.
true.
Yeah.
Right, right. That is so true. Yeah, like most of the characters start with junk armor. The only one that doesn't is the weird, because the
Okay.
armor interferes with their psychic powers.
Right.
Uh, but you can get upgraded armor, like you say, and use shields. So I changed shields a bit for this.
Okay.
So shields don't give you a bonus to your armor save. They give you another save of a 6 anytime during the round.
Okay.
So if you fail your armor save, you could roll your shield save.
Once.
Yeah, once,
Okay.
right? Once for the round, right?
Oh, that's kind of cool. And you can apply karma to it, so it's
Right,
another
right.
chance to not die, which
And
is
then I
really
have
good.
another character, right? Exactly. I have another character, the Rambler, who can distract and like give you like a save. But the rules in the game are that you can never have more than 2 of those at a time. So you couldn't use your shield. You can't have your armor, your shield, and then the Rambler like distracts, and then whatever,
Gotcha.
or someone jumps in the way with their shield, right? It's like you can only ever have 2,
Like,
right? You
yeah,
can't have more than
you're not distracting the bazooka as it flies in. Yes. So
right.
I have Carl. So Carl Make Stuff pointed out that the android edges and inclinations are his favorite. So
Yes.
because they have been mentioned, what are the android edges and inclinations?
I had a lot of fun with the Android. One of them is, well, they can hack into computers, which is really cool.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You can also hack into like kill bots and like control the kill bot if you can like beat them in a contest, right?
Uh-huh.
The androids also can have milk blood.
Yeah, I thought I'm like, oh, that is awesome.
Which
So
the rest of the party can drink the blood and like it's their nourishment for the day or whatever. But one really cool one is that the android can overcharge and take a strike, but take 2 turns in succession.
oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah,
So it's almost like Spellburn, but for like a melee attack.
right,
Oh,
exactly.
neat. Very
Yeah,
good.
so there's some really cool ones. They have twin linked. Their eyes can be twin linked flashlights, so they can shine around. They can also strip nearly nude, and then you can plug your tech devices into
That's
them and
right. They
charge them
recharge their solar power. They
they
recharge
can
in the
stand in the
sun.
sun and recharge your device.
You're just like,
Somebody was asking, where do you plug those in? I'm like, I'll leave that up to you guys.
it's like, we'll leave it to your imagination. I'm not doing the work for you. Have fun. Also, you
Right.
frighten me. That's good. Uh, it's awesome. And then one of the cool edges is that you can bring back in the easy D6 freeform magic with the weird character, because they
Yeah,
can just
yeah.
say, hey, we're going to tap into they call it the miasma, which is the psychostorm remnant.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And then you can do it. But it's not just that your spell fails when you roll a 1. What happens when you roll a 1 and you're using freeform magic?
So, right. One of the edges for the weird is neuroflux, and you can basically do anything you want, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's no limit to what you can do with it, right? But If you roll a 1, you can't eat the 1 except with like a hero die, right?
Uh-huh.
You can't eat the 1 and take a strike. The rabble rouser gets to decide what happens, like how the spell misfires or what happens. So it's really like dangerous, right? It's really tricky.
Yep.
But it might be the perfect thing for that moment that you need it, you know?
Yep. So you can say like, I want to, we really need to pull a dune buggy through time and have it appear right here.
Right.
So like, how many dice would you set for that? Like, what's your dice pool going to challenge for something like that?
I think something like that, I would do 6.
Okay.
I would do 66.
Yeah. So you can do it. Maybe.
Right.
And then like roll, and then like a T-Rex shows up if they roll a 1. It's just because you pulled something through time. It's just not what you were hoping for, and it wants to eat you.
Right. So, exactly. Or maybe you want to just open the lock, right? That'd be like 1d6. Right.
That's cool.
1d6 resistance. Yeah.
It's really neat. So you can pull that back in, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But you've added a way to get that second edge in as well, which is really cool.
Oh yes.
So, but there also, so we mentioned a little bit of the miasma. People are debating where the plugs are for the Android. In the background. King Art's like, it's in the back of the head, like Data and Carl makes stuff. It's like, yeah, we'll go with that. That's fine.
Wait a minute, that's not the plug.
I looked at the chat at the wrong time because it totally lost my brain. Carl points out we should probably not think too hard about where the sockets are. I would definitely. I mean, there are more holes than the ones you're worried about, but yes. King Eric wants to know, and this is a good question there. When you're rolling a dice pool for a check, so if you're doing a miasma roll, what is it called when they use it?
Power level?
Their power level. What are they? Neuroflux. Neuroflux. So when they're doing a neuroflux roll, thank you. How are you setting the difficulty level? What's it based on? And King Eric wanted to know, is it based on their stats? And no, because what don't characters have in Easy D6?
Stats.
Yes.
No stats.
So how do you set the level for a neuroflux check?
Oh, right. It's really the RR's decision. How hard you want super hard, to be crazy things to be, or if you want to loosen it up a bit, that's your prerogative too.
Yep. And it's so in like Easy D6, when you had a spell, it was you determined your power level. I guess it was 1 to 3.
Yeah, you roll 1 to 3.
And you can determine on that. But this one is more like it's actually more akin to the miracles system in Easy D6.
That's true, yes.
Because we're setting the roll. Because we set the pool, and so any one just makes it fail, and that's what goes on.
Right.
A lot of fun. But let's talk a little bit. So we have this miasma. So this is this remnants of the psychostorm that drove everybody like a little bit bonkers.
Yes.
It was like it was like between like an insanity virus and like a rage virus. It's like just every bad thing that could make human beings do, it did, and then didn't go away. Right. So there's that. But then you have the stuff where the miasma just decides that it would like to be a solid now, and where it's crystallized miasma. So like, what is this? Why is it key to Wasted World? And what are some of the ways that folks can use it?
Yeah, it's pretty cool actually. Crystallized miasma is very similar to scrolls in the regular game. Like you cast it just like a scroll. You roll 2d6 and re-roll any ones. If you're opposed by something. If you're not, it just casts. Like it's just something on you, it casts. And every one has whether you have to roll or not, right? Every one of them says whether you have to roll for it or not.
Right.
But it gives you all these kind of cool powers that are more kind of sure bet things, like scrolls in regular Easy D6.
Right.
Than like the neuroflux, which can be a lot more dangerous. But also you can take these crystals, and I call it kissing. You can miasma kiss objects, right? And so you can give them like essentially magical powers. But the basics of miasma kissing something. So say you had a gun, you could ask the weird to miasma kiss it with a crystal, and what that would mean was you're psychically linked to the weapon now, so you always know where it is, right? And you can make it explode at will.
Yes. So if it gets
So you can throw your gun like a grenade and explode it, but then of course you don't have your gun anymore. But
uh-huh.
you can also do it to vehicles. So for every structural strike on a vehicle, a crystal, you can miasma kiss vehicles also.
And you can create new effects for the miasmakist things too. It's
Yeah.
not just that you know where it is. It'd be like, and now, this ammunition lasts. It's like pulls in from a extra dimension, so it only loses ammunition like once a week. I got to make a roll on or something. Like, it's whatever you
Right.
want to create. So it's a really powerful, and it's how do you? So what are some of the coolest things that you've seen players do with a miasma kissed item, and how have you kept them all from becoming too overpowered?
um,
Because my 5-year-old would get a hold of this, and
yeah, yeah,
he'd be
yeah.
the emperor of the world in 2 days. It'd be great.
Right. Um, let them have fun with it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to solve every problem, right? Not one item is not going to solve all your problems, right?
Oh, they can try.
And they can try with it.
I shouldn't say they can. They will try with it.
They will try with it, right? But you can use kind of, it suggests to use like the crystal itself is kind of an inspiration for what the vehicle, what could happen with the vehicle, right?
Okay.
So maybe like you got a crystal that gives you like an extra dimensional pocket space or whatever.
Right.
Say you apply it to a car, and say now the trunk has that, right? The trunk has an extra dimensional space that can fit way more in the trunk than you could ever possibly.
Alex,
fit.
you're riffing off
Physically.
the actual type of crystal it is.
That's what I would do. I would riff off the actual type of crystal.
Gotcha.
But you wouldn't have to. You could take you could have the players like, make suggestions and stuff.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
And so, but the interesting thing is there's only one hero path or survivor path that can make a direct use of these crystals, and that's the weird.
Yes. Yes.
So I know that like in Easy D6 you have hedge wizards which can use the scrolls in order to get some of those effects for it. Is those miasma-kissed weapons a way to bring in it to make the crystals more important to all the survivor paths instead of just one person? Like, oh great, you got a crystal, I'll sit over here and I'll shoot something with my gun again.
Yes, they are. They're too. It's something you can collect in the game, right?
Right.
Because you want, if you want to kiss your gear, you can collect this stuff. And it's not only the weird that it would be good for. And if you don't have a weird in your group, there's always weirds around. You can have an NPC weird that the players interact with or whatever. So
gotcha.
Yeah, that wouldn't stop you from doing it.
Okay, but having a weird in the group is a very good.
It
idea.
It is pretty awesome. Yeah,
it's a really good idea. We'll put it that way. If you don't have a weird, things might go bad for you. We're just going to point that out.
Yeah, weirds are pretty awesome.
They're really cool. So the other cool thing is that when weirds use their powers, or they're using the crystal, it takes a miasma roll, which is essentially the same way that a spell resistance roll got used.
Exact same thing.
Yeah. In Easy D6. So for folks that don't know, in Easy D6, a creature has a magic resistance roll. It's a certain number of D6s. You roll, the highest number is the number you got to beat in your roll. So you have that. Now you have these miasma-kissed items. How do you activate them? Do you need to do a miasma roll, or are they just static things that exist and that's not what this item does?
They're kind of just like magic items, right?
Okay, so they just become magic items.
They just become, they're essentially, apocalyptic magic items. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Somebody pointed out, if you don't have a weird, things could go weird. Yes, that is absolutely true. Again.
They'll probably go weird anyway. But
King Eric, the greatest of all, wants to know if can these crystals be corrupted? That's a really good question.
That would be fun. As an R, you could definitely do that. You could have the players maybe find a cursed crystal and they can't get rid of it, right? And then they have to do something to get rid of it. So, or maybe people are after it, right? Because there's all these weird cults, So maybe some cult is after it, and you gotta, you can't just throw it away; they'll get it, right? Or
right.
Find it,
and then they'll like set the world on fire again. Yeah, that's like let's not do that.
So then you got a group chasing you for this crystal or whatever. So, Yeah, you could do all kinds of fun stuff with that.
Yeah. So it's not mechanically in the game, Eric, but it would be a really good idea to try.
It would
Let's
be,
just
yeah,
please
it'd be
try that.
a great plot point.
And then stream it and let us know how it goes. Um,
Yes.
just very, very cool. And then getting back to the Mad Max thing. Oh, wait. Oh my gosh. So King Eric another time. What if we're talking about permission. What if the item being kissed doesn't want to be kissed? What do you do? Well, it's an inanimate object. So
Right.
I'm not
Yeah.
too worried about looking for
Yeah,
approval.
it doesn't work on living. You can't miasma kiss a living. But yeah.
So is there a way? So you do have certain classes that you said can take edges that give them access to some of the mutations, even if they're not on those survivor paths. Is there is there any way that they make use of the miasma crystals directly, or is that just out of the game for them?
There is, I think I do have an inclination where non-weirds can use miasma crystals.
Okay, I got to go back and look for it.
Yeah,
So-
I can't remember the name of the inclination. I have a lot of inclinations in this
If
game.
there's a good list.
There's a ton.
Yeah,
there's
it's-
more than the original game, and then there's the list for the other survivors. So there's like tons of inclinations.
Yep. King Eric says some swords are sentient. Just saying, not in this game. Although I guess they could be AI, but
They
they're
could
not.
be, yeah,
In general,
yeah,
they're
it
not.
could
If
be
they,
sentient,
I
yeah.
mean, if it's AI, it can say no. I guess I don't like no means no. That's it. That's
Oh
a
yeah,
thing.
you could really do anything with it.
It'd be
Really
fun.
anything with the miasma crystals. Yeah.
It would be fun to take a miasma crystal to make a sword be AI or a gun be AI,
Oh yes.
and then have it. And then if you want to make it cursed, you could say that it's now a pacifist. So it doesn't want. So now you have a bane on every roll, and you can't get rid of it. That would be fun.
Right.
Going back, let's talk about the Mad Max aspect of it, because the world has become Mad Max. You threw in vehicular combat. As a GM, I hate vehicular combat because it's such a
I
pain in the neck to
totally-
run, unless you're
totally
running Car Wars, but that's a whole nother situation. So, like, how long did it take you to distill this down? Because the vehicular combat you threw in is really, really simple and it fits the game, which is hard to do. Like, how
It
long
is.
did it take you to boil this down to this idea? And then after that, describe for folks how it works.
Oh yeah, yeah. It was that like magic was the hardest part of EZD6 to get right. This was the hardest part of Wasted World to get right.
Okay.
Because you can kind of get too nuts and it's like becomes like a war game, right?
Right.
Which
Yeah.
nobody that just takes you out of the moment. Or it can be too hand wavy and I don't feel like there's like the danger of like smacking into something and the car exploding, right?
Yeah.
There
has to be all those Mad Max shots of people going, "Wah!"
Totally.
Right, yes, yes.
Exactly. I'm just picturing that as I'm creating this system. You know, I want bodies flying out of the car and all this kind of stuff. So cars exploding and turning over and running off cliffs. So yeah, that was the trick, to make it enough meat on it so it feels visceral, right?
Uh-huh.
Not too hand wavy,
Mm-hmm.
but enough, not too many rules so that you have a lot of room with how not getting in the way of the game, slowing it down. Right?
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so what's your kind of favorite, like, how did you set it up? Like, how does it work in game? Like, how do these vehicles work?
So basically, I made vehicles be similar to everything else. They have strikes just like everything else. I call them structural strikes, but
Okay.
they have strikes just like everything else. And vehicles have an armor save. So including NPC vehicles. So all vehicles have an armor save that they can use. And the players can of course use, like karma on that.
Right.
Right. So so that's how I that's kind of the basic build of the character. And then the kind of thing was, okay, like racing around the wasteland, I could have a really complex system for like what vehicle can catch what and all this kind of stuff. But basically what I did is I just put them in categories. So motorcycles are fast, right?
Right.
So they can catch any vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
They can catch up to any vehicle. Cars can catch up to any vehicle higher on the list than them, right? So they can catch up to like SUVs, trucks, buses,
Gotcha.
And then so on. So semis and stuff can't catch anything on their own. Like they're
Right.
too slow. You know what I'm saying? The things have to catch them.
But they have
Right.
a ton of strikes, so that kind of is
Right.
offset.
But they
Yeah.
have a ton of strikes. So that makes it so you don't have to worry about that. Let's roll to see who catches who or whatever. It's just easy. Now, if the car is weighed down and carrying like a bunch of scrap, in a wagon, I would bump the category up one, as far as like the vehicle speed, like, other vehicles can catch it because, you know what I'm saying? Because it's slowed down now, or maybe the engine's smoking or whatever. So, and that's all RR determined. Like there's not all these like 50 rules that say, if your vehicle's this, or if your vehicle's this, or if your vehicle's this, right?
Yep. So, I mean, that's one of the things that I know sometimes folks struggle with, but to play this game, you have to have a good trust with the rabble rouser.
Oh, totally. Yeah,
Because you have to make sure that they're just going to make it fair, because they want it to be fun for everybody, and that means you can't get to do whatever you want, but for that.
If you have like a murdery DM or GM or RR, the game won't work.
No, it's no fun.
You need someone who loves the characters and is fair.
Yeah, and if you have players who are you want to just yell and complain because they don't win all the time, like then that's not going to be fun. But that's any table. But it's built in because there's so many bits in EZD6 and in Wasted World where that ruling has to come in, and you just have to trust that you're making it fair. So that's kind of important.
Right. It is.
A great question by King Eric, and this actually goes into something that I think is really cool about the game. And this is the second book I've read with the concept. What type of fuel does the vehicle use? So how are you fueling these things, and how do you keep track of it? Because having huge lists of inventory is not the easy D6 way. So how do you handle fueling these cars in Wasted World?
Right. I kind of hand wave that, if like just like anything, like if the players are going somewhere far away from where they're at, and they take some gasoline cans or whatever with them, then they can reach it and get back. You don't have to worry about the exact how much gas is in the car. You know what I'm saying? Just if they take steps to like make sure that they can get back, or maybe they don't have access to the gas and they're hoping they can raid some when they go where they're going. Right? They hope they can steal some from somebody. So but either one makes a cool story, right?
Yeah.
If they have to try to find it, that's really cool. That's really great. And it's just like there's another resource in the game called Scrap, where you can abstractly like build stuff, or you could build your own settlement or whatever, but you need scrap, right? And scrap isn't like, a bean countery thing where you got to keep track of every little piece. It's like maybe you have the players find a warehouse, and it's like you have about half the scrap you need to do what you want to do, right? In this location. And then the players have to just figure out how to get it from there to their place, right? And that's the fun part. Not all rules are like how much exactly in there, and doing like accounting or whatever,
But you also abstracted out resources to just this thing called resources.
Yes.
And that's, you can kind of make the same concept of that. It's like, okay, well, you're going here, you're going to need 4 resources dedicated to gas, and that's
right. You could totally do that. Because I do have a thing that's called supply for characters.
Right. Okay. So, supplies. That's what it is, not resources.
Yeah. So it's food, water, and bullets. So we don't really get nitpicky about which one is each, right? So basically, you need 1 supply a day to survive. Okay. Yep. After 3 days of not eating supply, you start to lose strikes and you die. If you shoot a gun, substantially shoot guns for the day, use 1 supply of bullets. But the thing is, we haven't really talked about guns yet, but there's assault rifles and submachine guns and stuff, and those eat up a lot of bullets. So if you use those kind of guns, it eats up 2 supply, which is a lot, right?
Right.
Because you only carry so much, right? You can only carry so many supply. So I added that to the game because it felt like it needed it. Like in a fantasy game, you don't really worry too much about where the food's coming from or whatever, unless they're like in the desert or in a place where they're, could die from starvation, right? Yeah. But for the most part, they're in temperate zones that you can track food or get food, or you have enough hardtack with you or whatever. So you don't really worry about that in a fantasy. But in a game where everything's scarce, it seemed really important to have some way to track it. And this way with supply, it tracks all these things, these important things at once, right?
Right.
Yeah.
With that, and how many items can someone carry?
So it depends if you have a backpack or not. So backpack will give you extra slots. I think it's like 20, but I actually did do inventory slots in this game because unlike fantasy where you're going to kind of get your kit, right? And you're done.
Right.
Like you got your broadsword, you got your crossbow, you got your dagger, you're good, right?
Right.
You might get a magic sword and replace your sword, but in this game, there are so many great weapons and gear that it would be easy to just get out of control, right?
Gotcha.
So, maybe you want a rocket launcher and you got a blast gun and you want an assault rifle and you want 6 pistols. You know what I'm saying? It's like, that's just
it's too much,
right?
Right.
Yeah, it's just too much. And the supply thing just makes it so there's no argument, right? It's just like, here's the slots you got, you fill them up. Now, I do also have a thing for the inventory that says a lot of items are medium, which is 1 slot. Large items are 2 slots. Small items are half a slot.
And does armor count as inventory items?
No, it's just a worn thing.
So worn things don't count on. Yep.
Yeah, you don't have to count it. But also medicine is kind of weird because you can carry a lot of medicine, right?
Right, because they're tiny items, right? Yeah.
Right, because I picture them as pills or they're like little injectors that you inject yourself with, right? You could carry like hundreds of those, right? So basically, I just have something on the sheet where you just mark how many you have, right?
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
So again, it's just a little bit more complex than EZD6, but not to the
there's a little bit more complexity to it, but yeah. But I didn't have any problem with the play tests as far as like that extra complexity.
Yeah, I mean, it's for some folks the total free nature of EZD6 freaks them out.
Yes.
So having a little bit of,
I think people will be a little more comfortable with this game that I have a problem with the looseness of EZD6.
I just love the post-apocalyptic game. People are going to be much more comfortable playing.
Except with neuroflux and maybe miasma crystals kissing.
Fine.
But pretty much everything's defined. So, like the psychic powers are defined. Like
right.
You have this psychic power. So yeah.
That's awesome. And I love the idea of supplies being like Schrodinger's inventory item. Like you don't know what it is until you open it up and the waveform collapses and lo and behold, I have supplies. So,
if you need bullets, they're bullets. If you need food, it's food, right?
And there's a game I just reviewed called Adventurous, which is really worth checking out. That's how they handle all supplies in the game. So if you're like your arrows and after your arrows, you can like have to do a roll to see if you can recover them. It's really cool. But I read that. I was like, this is that was my favorite thing about Adventurous. And I saw this like, yes, this is so fun. So I have a couple questions from folks. Can Caverna Dulekis wants to know, is there a survival mechanic for this game? So you kind of already talked about it. You have to have so many supplies per day before you start taking strikes.
Yes.
Is there anything beyond that that you need to do for survival mechanically?
No, but there is also a mechanic called contamination.
Okay.
That you have to look out for. So if you go to an area that's contaminated, it's rated by like time unit. So it could be like by scene, which is about 10 minutes.
Okay.
By hour or by day.
Okay.
And then you have them roll a avoidance save, or they get a level of contamination.
Okay.
Now, initially that doesn't do anything to you, but once you get 3 contamination, you lose a strike permanently.
Oh, wow. So don't do that.
You don't want to get too much contamination, right?
I like that.
Yeah.
Then I mean, you can buy. Well, we'll talk about that in a second. You can buy it back, but we'll talk about.
Yeah.
So someone wants to know. Well, King Eric wants to know. What if I have a large chest? How much can I fit into it? You have to carry it, man. So it's however many slots we say are in it, and then you got to carry it.
Right. I would say however many slots the chest is, and then you could say that maybe it takes up half your inventory or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like you could, or carrying a chest around is clumsy, right?
Yes.
So you're gonna have if you get caught with it carrying it around, you could have banes to what you're doing.
Yep.
So you got to keep that in mind. I mean, you want to be kind of loose, right? You want to be ready for anything, right?
You don't want to be moving. That's very important. So I had somebody wanted to know, we already kind of talked about it a little. Any lessons learned that you could bring to EZD6 second edition for the future? We talked about that a little bit, bringing the edges concept into EZD6. Is there anything else?
An advancement, which we haven't
Which we'll
about
talk
yet.
about in a little bit. So advancement will probably come over too. King Eric, the greatest of all, in response to that, said, yes, it would be called EZD12. No, bad Eric. Bad
No,
Eric.
definitely not D12. No.
Although I am a fan of games where the die is actually a melee weapon. So I love, like, D12s just look like they can hurt you or a ranged weapon. You can throw it.
They do.
It's an improvised ranged weapon. It does 1d3. It's great. So that was always fun. So I love that. And now let's talk about advancement, because this is something people have wanted from EZD6 from the start. And you had like a paragraph of it. It's like, well, you can do this or that, or
right.
Now you kind of have we're going to call it a system. It's really loose. So how does advancement work in this game? And to preface, it's not leveling up. So that's not the same thing.
No. I did not want to call it leveling up because leveling up has so many problems associated with it, right? Mm-hmm. Leveling up means you can't play that adventure because now you're too high a level and it's not a good adventure for you, right?
Okay.
You won't run into that in this game. There's no like, we're out leveled this adventure, right?
Gotcha.
There's none of that. Now, an advanced character can still play with brand new characters. Mm-hmm, they're going to be a little better than the other character, right? But it's not going to be like a 5th level character and a 1st level D&D character, right?
Okay.
The 1st level character will never survive.
Yes, right? No, they're just toast.
It won't be anything like that.
Stand back there, hold the torch, and get experience points. That's all you do right now.
And there's a limit. There's a limit on the number of advancements, so I recommend like 10. So you're not going to be like, and you basically I have it. You get 1 experience point per session. Okay. And you can use experience points to buy things. So 3 experience points. You can buy your second edge or a new inclination.
You went full Gollum. 3 experience points is precious.
You can buy your edge or a new inclination for 3 XP. There's a new resource in the game called power dice.
Yes.
And how I see power dice is like leveled up characters. It's like a resource that represents like bonuses in a normal game.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like instead of having bonuses that you have to keep track of, you can just get these power dice. Right?
Okay.
So the power dice have different things they can do. One is you can roll it after the fact to any roll and add it to the roll.
Right.
It's not like hero die where it replaces a die. It adds to the roll. So if you roll a 1 in a power level roll, you can't get rid of that 1 with it.
So you can't actually roll and erase the 1.
No, not with a power die. The power die just adds another die to your roll. Okay. So it's like a boon after the fact, essentially.
Oh, right? So you're not adding the total; you're just adding the roll into the pool.
Yeah, you're adding it into the pool. Okay. So say you cast a psychic power and you roll a 1, but you didn't get the target number, right?
Right.
So like, I'll roll a power die and hope I get the target number. And then if you do, you did get it. You did cast the power if you want to absorb the 1, right? If you want to take the 1 as a strike.
Right.
So there's that. So I think it's like a great mechanic to simulate those bonuses from other games without having to track the other bonuses, right? It's just a pool of dice. So you can buy these dice for 2 XP each.
Mm-hmm. And they replenish with rest, right? So they're not like you use them and they're gone forever.
Well, they replenish with session.
Okay.
So if you had 3 to start your session, the next session you get 3 back. I also suggest that if they do a rest, like an overnight rest, you give them 1 back.
Okay.
Like you give them 1 die back. Also, you can do this. You can spend 2 power dice to get your hero die back.
Okay.
Or you can spend 1 die to get 2 karma.
Yeah, I like that idea. Is that this is almost like a currency now?
Yeah, so it's like a new die mechanic, a new currency. I thought it'd be fun to add an extra thing, and I like the idea of it like being a floating bonus, right? Mm-hmm. A floating. You're more skilled than this person over here, So you
Hmm.
have this power die that you can use when you want, right? So that simulates that you're better, right?
Gotcha.
Yeah,
And it worked.
without all the mechanics, with all the crazy mechanics of adding this to your stats, and yeah,
And it doesn't erase any. It doesn't erase the hero die because that hero die mechanic's still in the game.
right. The hero die is still important because it can replace a die.
Hmm.
So those one dice, the one when you roll, because it can't replace. Yeah, so it can't replace that, or you can just get unlucky and roll another one.
Well, yeah, that's what I would
Yeah,
do.
yeah. Even
So
if you roll your armor save and you roll a one and you roll it and it's like, oh damn, another one. So that's the risk with rolling dice, that you're never sure of the outfit, which is fun. It makes it fun.
absolutely, it's always going to be there.
It's always
Um,
exciting.
yeah, it is. It's very very exciting. Um, you answered my question about erasing the one with the power die. I was kind of reading power die that you were adding the total to it, but it's just adding a die to a pool. So it's
Yeah, it's
like a
just it's
second
just a
bane
boon after. Think of
or
it as
second
a
bone.
boon after the
Yep,
fact. So
which
you
is
just
really
can
really
roll
cool.
and you can roll as many as you want. So if you have three and you roll
Just
one and it doesn't work for you, you can roll another one. Then you can, but of course you might get more ones, right?
yep.
Say you're doing a power level a roll and then you roll another one. It's like, oh crap, now I got another one to do. So
That would be me because I would be the dummy that would like pull up. I was like, I'm going to replace that one with my hero die, and then just roll the same die, and I know it would come up as a one. So
yeah.
we had a character. Like I have had one character die in a game, and it wasn't easy. We were playing Castles and Crusades, so it's like, okay, come on over and re-roll. Or we actually were doing it online. Um, roll your let's roll up your new character. We'll get it all set up so you can get in for the next session. That's fine. So he's rolling, and the rolls are like it's the typical 3d6 straight down the line. He's rolling like a 3, and then like a 4,
Oh.
and then like a 6. It was going to be a character we were going to script anyway. He's like, I just don't understand. And there's like 3 of us on the Discord chat, and he's like, I'm just using the same dice. We're like, what are you doing? You can't use the dice of the dead character. Like that's like, what are you dumb?
You're cursed.
Like you're doing this. Like, of course, none of this is actually real, but you can't do that. There are just rules. Like, don't do that. Um, it's awesome. So I do have a question in chat. And I want to kind of riff off of that. Someone wants to know, where can you get a physical copy of it? There is only one place you can currently get a physical copy of EZD6, and that is
Drive-through RPG.
so. And that's like it is worked out well for you because it's always on the front page.
Yeah,
Are there
yeah.
any plans to come out with a version that that can be resold to like game stores or other places, or is it just going to stay
Yes,
on direct
yes.
through?
Yeah, Brandon and I are working on that edition, and the cover is going to be a bit different.
Oh, sweet.
So yeah, so it'll have different covers. It's kind of like purple and green
Ooh.
cover, so very like whoa, like eye popping, dynamic.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
When
yeah.
are you taking my money?
We are. Brandon just opened his own game store.
I know it's
So
right across
Broomhammer
it's
just opened
literally
his game.
across the river from me.
Oh
So
wow, that's awesome!
yeah.
So I will be there at some point running games, like a week or a weekend or something. So you'll definitely have to come visit me.
Oh yeah, I absolutely have to do that. That'll be
So
awesome.
yeah, but he's got that going. He just came out with Crown and Skull. So as soon as the dust settles a little bit, we already have someone that's going to print the books and everything for us.
Oh
So
sweet.
once the dust settles, that's we're going to start printing books.
Are you going to handle it the same way that Brandon handled Crown and Skull? You're just going to go right to retail. There's no Kickstarter or anything.
Nope. That's the plan.
Yay! Very excited. Yeah, I would love that. And so it'll be a stitched binding. So you're talking about like a $50 book, that type of thing, or you're not even on
Probably not. No, it'll be pretty close to the other book.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like the 30-ish range. Yeah.
Ah, well, we like you
Yeah.
even better. That's awesome.
we
Crown and Skull is
can
another
all
one I
use
have to get
extra
a hold of.
money, right? We can all use extra money.
I could use so much extra money. Crown and Skull is another game I have to pick up. So that's one. Everybody tells me great things about it.
That book's amazing. Yeah, it's really cool.
And
Very
it looks
innovative.
beautiful.
Yeah. I heard somebody say that you could put it on a shelf with tomes and it would fit right in.
Yeah, I've seen it a
And
couple
that's the
places.
truth. I mean, the thing is beautiful. It's just great looking.
It really does look cool. Someone is talking about how they're being shipping to Europe, but they want to go through drive through. They basically are paying for $2. So I think there's a,
Oh yeah, I think that really sucks.
and there's like
Um,
no way we want to deal with Amazon or for,
yeah, there might be some point at some point that we have it on Amazon. I would like to, just for those people that have a hard time getting it.
yeah.
You know, and there is a German version of the book too. So
Oh, there is? Okay,
yeah,
cool.
yeah. If you're of German, in Germany, you could get a German language edition,
Oh, neat.
and the quest book is coming out soon with the German language edition.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's this guy's King Eric goes, Wes, just ask for a higher tithe at church or higher tithe at church and you can afford more books. That's not the way that works, man. But, I don't get what goes in the, well, I get some of it because I get paid because like this is my job, but I don't just like, if there's like 20 extra bucks in the plate, I don't get to take that and back Kickstarters. I don't touch the money. I don't want anything to do with it. That's the most insane comment I think I've gotten on the thing yet. And King Eric, you've really outdid yourself. That was great. So I saw further back up in the chat. I'm sorry if I'm trying to get everybody's stuff. So I do have one other question, but I want to talk about this first. Someone had suggested or asked, is there going to be a Wild West version of Easy D6 at some point in the future? You did run a poll on your Facebook group. What were the two options and what did people go through for the next book in Easy D6?
It seems like the one that people want the most is a sci-fi version.
Yeah.
And so that's probably what I'm going to do.
Okay.
I had an idea about like Wild West and on Mars, like, where the
your brain makes me
Mars.
sad because I'm just not that creative. So
I also have an idea for like dino riders, like prehistoric dino riders.
Okay.
Which I think could be really fun. So I have several things kind of bouncing around, but I think sci-fi is probably where I'm gonna go next.
Oh, awesome. Okay. That's going to be fun. If you want Dino Riders, I just reviewed 321 Action and they're going to do a Kickstarter. I think it's going to start February 12th, but it's essentially Dino Riders. And it's a neat little roll under system. And it's literally 321 Action is the whole thing. It's like, you're in an action movie, which is fun. Right. And I picked up an adventure where you're playing miniature golf against the devil to save your uncle's soul because he made a Faustian bargain with the devil to become the greatest professional mini golf player of all time. And like he was at Philly Area Gaming Expo and I was like, yeah, I want that. Just grabbed and walked away. Like that's like the greatest. So
that's great.
I do have someone actually someone who's requesting a high seas adventure, do some pirates. That would be fun.
That would not be too hard with regular Easy D6. You could easily port that into
and throw in some of the vehicle stuff from Wasted World and you're off.
Right. I have a new mechanic in Wasted World, which is kind of like a die pool system.
Okay.
You fight the die pool system.
Okay.
And that's kind of my idea for like ship combat.
All right.
Right. So like you roll a certain number of dice. And then you're using your skills and stuff to deplete that dice until you get a success.
Okay.
And like something like maybe you're trying to hack a computer, right? If you're rolling your checks and you fail once, maybe the computer locks down, right?
Right. Okay.
So you have to eliminate at least one die per round.
Okay.
Or the bad happens. Now in a ship, it would just be you don't hurt the other ship, right? It wouldn't necessarily be the ship shut
or
down.
Lose position or whatever. Like someone gets a boom.
So like you have to defeat the dice pool of the ship. So basically, you just put them on the table, and then as you roll, your whatever skills to get past those dice, you take the dice from the pool. And I also had it that like in Wasted World, I have it where if you roll any ones in that pool, they're just automatically taken out of the pool.
Oh, okay.
So say you roll all ones, right? Which would be unlikely, but it could happen.
Like your mask just goes down.
Right. So say you roll all ones. It could be that the computer system is just like broken or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you could just role play whatever or maybe like it's degraded over the years, like the security on the computer is degraded over the years, and it's easier to hack.
Uh-huh.
Or if you roll good, it's hard. So
Okay.
so that would be a great mechanic for like a ship system, like just die pools fighting each other, right? As you shoot cannons and stuff at each other, you just remove dice from the other pool. If you lose all your last die, you sink, right?
or the mast goes, like that's like I said. That was the whole thing. Is like you want to take the age of sail. You want to take out the mast so you can salvage the ship.
Right.
So,
Right.
Oh, that would be fun.
So you can say like, oh, I'm shooting at the sail, or I'm shooting at the mast, or whatever. So yeah, that's a good way to without a lot of mechanics, right? It's all like just narrative, right? Because you're basically using you're using the narrative to like attack the dice pool, right?
So it's that's one of the cool things about EZD6, that it's always it's so narrative based, and that the
Right.
dice inform how you tell the story, which is how these are supposed to work, which is cool.
Yeah.
Dave from Grimwood Games, who you talked with last week, he's like,
Great
I'm having
conversation.
GM Scotty to talk about Wasted World. I'm like, wait a minute, I'm doing that on Monday. You beat me.
You swooped in there again.
He got me. But he's going to do Time Bandits at EZD6. That might be his next live play.
Oh God, I love Time Bandits.
It's
I love
such
Time
a
Bandits.
great, when they like, here's the crack. Let's
Oh.
go get the spaceship and come. Oh, so much fun.
Yeah.
And then someone is talking. King Eric wants to know if the computer that failed is running Windows 11. Yes.
Right.
Yes. So,
of course.
and someone's wondering, could we make an EZD6 standard that could fit into any genre, like GURPS or Savage Worlds? Well, funny you should mention that, because Scotty has a very generous licensing system for EZD6 that's literally called what?
Open EZD6.
So you can take the reference document and just create till your heart is content. So someone did Spies.
Please do. Yeah.
Yeah, someone did Spies. So I actually, that's Operation Danger is what that's called.
Yeah. Dr. Ballin. Yeah, he did Spies. Operation. Danger. And then Carl did this historical one, which I really like quite a bit. The Four Horsemen.
Yeah, when is that set, Carl? He's in chat. We'll wait for him. And then Dave from Grimwood Games said he's doing urban fantasy, and he's got the setting Grimwood Games, which is like I played it at PAX U this year. It's really, really good.
Oh, awesome. He was kind of waiting for my vehicle rules, because it's like he didn't want to reinvent the wheel,
Yep.
So to speak. So I get it. Yeah, I get it. So those will just port really nicely into Grimwood.
So it's there, and it's for anybody to kind of use, which is really cool. Four Horsemen is amazing. Assignment Danger is Ace, was from Carl. Was it 30 Years War that the historic one, the Four Horsemen, is set up for?
I think it's the 20 years.
The 20 years war. There's so many decades long war in European history.
Yeah.
So you're dealing with all the historic
war,
enemies.
all kinds of the backdrop. Very dark fantasy, and no magic, which is interesting. All the magic is like bad guy magic.
Oh, cool! It's like old school sword and sorcery that way in a historic setting.
So the players don't cast magic.
Yeah, it's neat. So that really is part of how EZD6 is designed, and the license for it is brilliant.
Yeah, please make stuff. Yeah, I love it. I love seeing all this stuff. It's great.
Carl said, yeah, the 30 Years War.
Oh, 30 Years War. Okay, so
I mean, it's just pick a number of decades, and there's a European war named after it. It's fine. So that's good. So yeah, that's all out there. So please make stuff, look for stuff. I need to get on your Discord. I still haven't gotten on that, but the Discord is great. Yeah. I don't know why I'm not on the Discord. The Facebook group is wonderful. Which is how many times do you actually hear that about a Facebook group ever?
Yeah.
So a lot of stuff on there. That's how I heard about Operation Danger. Folks are really, really, really helpful in both places. So if you want to create something for EZD6, this stuff is out there, which is really, really fun. Europeans don't have any very imaginative naming schemes. That's pretty true. They really, I mean, Europeans are very straightforward. Like this people land. Yeah. But I can't complain because I'm the pastor of Central Baptist Church, which is the Jones of Baptist churches. Because the other one is First Baptist Church. And I was literally told one time by someone who's like, well, I go to First Baptist Church. Which one? Which is First Baptist Church? He thought it was the denomination, like First
Oh.
Baptist Church. I'm like, no, that's okay. That's fine. Um, so yeah, I don't come from a people of very creative naming naming conventions. We have three names. That's basically what we have. We have First, Central, and Calvary. Like those are our three names. That's all we have.
Right.
So I can't complain.
Yep.
But darn it, I'm going to kick down at the Europeans and the names of their wars. So 7 years war, 30 years war. Which is good. A lot of people are saying like, Cyberpunk will be great for EZD6. Everything like
Oh
it would all
yeah.
be really cool. It's
I
so
think there's
easy to port.
there's a Star Wars hack to it somewhere floating
Oh,
around.
there is. Oh, I didn't even know
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
And it was cool because back before Twitter imploded, when EZD6 came out, people were already talking about like, well, let's hack it for this, and
Oh
post-apocalyptic
yeah.
was out, and
Oh yeah.
it was totally cool. Which is one of the reasons why I think you came out with the open license. So that
Oh
is
yeah.
really cool. So you have you're working on the kind of like the retail version of EZD6. Thank you, because now I can say I'm going to go play it at a game store because they can sell the book.
Right. Yeah,
Which is that's always
we want to
been
get to the
upsetting,
game stores. Yeah, we want
which
to
would
get
be
to the
good.
game store.
But what's next for you after that? You are working on a sci-fi book. I know people have been asking for a bestiary for a really long time,
Yes.
and your imagination for the creatures you create is really good. So I see the appeal. I'm one of the people. Is a bestiary in the plans at this point?
Kind of what I'm thinking is maybe a companion.
Oh, okay.
So like have like the stuff I was talking about with the edges.
Okay.
And
Okay.
the fame level and all that stuff. Port all that into the companion, and then just have a bunch of monsters too in the companion.
Okay. Okay.
Like extra monsters. So get it all in there.
So not necessarily a second edition, but you could do a companion piece to come in, so people don't feel like, oh, this is no good anymore, I'll throw it out. How dare they update the game? They're just looking for more money.
That's one thing I want that Runehammer and I don't like to do is just keep publishing things that like add to stuff, But with this, I think it could work, because I think it's the stuff is of value. And if you do it just for the monsters,
and you don't need it to play the game. I mean, it's not like you don't. It's fun without it. So I think that's kind of cool. But if you want to do a second edition, I'll spend more money for the purple cover.
So
that'd be great.
It may happen. It may do we were talking maybe there could possibly be a Kickstarter for maybe like a bigger. We were talking about maybe putting like the quest book and the regular book and all that stuff in one book, like doing a big book.
Oh,
so we'll see. That could be a Kickstarter. So we'll see. But just stuff we're kicking around.
Like, you just like, I'm like literally going like, how much do I have in my bank account?
Has we have some time yet.
Brandon's never done a Kickstarter, has he?
No.
That'd be totally new.
Hasn't. No, he hasn't.
All right, sweet. Caverna pointed out that they're a Baptist too. I'm sorry. Which is just my joke all the time. I'm a Baptist. Okay, I'm sorry. This is good. So any other things that are coming up for you besides that? Are you going to be out at any conventions coming up? Are you making any trips? What's going on with you?
There is something coming. Well, I'm going to be at Mythicon in March.
Okay.
But so that's a weekend. It's in Asheville, North Carolina, which is nice. It's a great little place. It's a very hippy dippy town.
Cool.
And they have great food. And my daughter lives there. She works at the Vanderbilt house.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. She works on the estate there. She's a chef. She's the head pastry chef. But she actually won't be there this time because she's going on a vacation. So I'm kind of bummed out about that. But
honey, I'm coming to town. I won't be there.
I won't get snacks. I won't get her one.
Oh man!
But she also helps me like run game. Like she's like my slave as far as like giving me terrain and stuff.
Okay.
Like she'll hand me stuff and I'll set it up really quickly to keep the game going.
Oh, she's your game roadie.
Yeah, she is. She's my game roadie. Exactly.
Oh, that's awesome.
And she's great at that. And then, but the big one, this is amazing. Where Baron, who has his channel, is going to do a thing called the Green Dragon Con. It's in Knoxville, Tennessee,
Uh-huh.
and it's this like little village that's like a fantasy village.
Yeah, it's insane.
It's crazy cool. It looks like Hobbiton, whatever, but
Hmm.
like I'm gonna be running games there.
Okay.
And so there's like, you can get food, you get food and everything there. You can sleep, you can get rooms there and
Hmm.
everything.
Hmm.
Just super cool. But like, Kelsey from Shadow Dark and Brandon from Runehammer is going to be there,
Hmm.
and like Bob the World Builder. I mean, there's going to be like all these great people there, and I'm super excited because I'm gonna give 110% on these games that I run there. Terrain, go crazy. So yeah, anybody who goes is going to have, and they game with me is going to have an awesome experience. So.
And this is a really limited
Yes, yeah, it's
population
only
con.
like 70 people, I think, that can go.
And you are paying a
So
cruise price for it.
yeah, it's not cheap, but if you think about it, like it's kind of like game in a castle, right?
Yeah, it's
But
all
it's way
inclusive.
less,
All inclusive.
right, but it's way less expensive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because even though it's expensive, it's not as expensive as flying to Europe and then then paying to be in a castle, right?
Right.
That's way expensive.
Yep.
This is actually doable, right? This is actually doable for someone. So I just found out that somebody is going and bringing their entire family.
I can't. I don't live in that universe where I can afford that.
I was like, wow, that's amazing.
Like all these people I want to go and like hang out with are going to be there. Like Professor DM's going.
Yeah.
Runehammer, you,
DM,
Kelsey,
yes. All
Bob
running
World
games,
Builder.
all running games.
Yeah,
So
like everybody I've talked to on the channel, except for Professor DM, who I'm still trying to get on the channel, and Brandon, like is going to this thing. I'm like, I want to go, but I can't. So it's gonna be fun.
I get it. Yeah, but that's gonna be the event, my event this year. Although I do also in October I do a retreat, which is more of a wargaming retreat.
Yeah,
it's called Valhalla in the Fall.
Yeah, you talked to me about that last time they were on.
Yeah, but they wanted people to like run RPGs, and so I've been going for several years, and it's like all inclusive, like food, breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day. And,
Yep. Where is that held?
With the run, Utah, near Salt Lake City.
Wow.
Yeah. So I drive out there. I drive all the way out there because I take my terrain and stuff with me, my miniatures.
Oh,
so
cool.
I drive out. And it's not that bad, really. It's a nice drive. And the cabin is the largest privately owned cabin in the United States. It's up in these mountains. And
okay.
It's just a great venue.
Nice.
Just a fantastic time. So that's another big one for me.
That's awesome. Very good. And thank you. And I just want to thank you so much for coming on. We're well over an hour at this point. So
oh yeah, I guess we are.
Listen, thank you for coming on. Thanks for talking Waste World. Cannot wait for the book. I know you said that the sample draft prints were out.
Drafts are on the way, so it won't be long now.
So we're very, very good. So it's, oh my gosh. King Eric's telling me I could just sell some indulgences and I'll be able to go to the Green Dragon thing. No, wow. Again, not the way it works.
Wow.
He's having fun with that.
But yeah, I'll definitely see you at the Runehammer store. Yeah,
when you're there, let me know because I'll definitely pop over for that.
Yeah, you gotta come over.
Definitely want to. And I'm running a small con at my church of all places. I think it's literally the week before Green Dragon. So it's April 12th through 14. Small. Wow. It's basically a microcon. And we're raising money for my church's roof and for the food pantry down the street. So we're doing.
Oh, that's cool.
We're doing some
that's
good.
Great.
And for
great cause.
For folks who want to know, like, why would I want to raise money for the church? Like, because we have like AA meets here, and the music school does their concerts here, and the local improvement association that raises money for grants to people to kind of repair their houses is here in the business district. So like a lot of stuff is based out of here. That's just for the town. We don't run it, but they use this space. So that's kind of why that's why we want to have the roof there. So it doesn't like fall down on people's heads, which I consider falling down on people's heads to be like a roof falling on someone's heads, that would definitely be a thing you don't want to do. Like that's an
Yeah, that is,
avoidance.
yeah, I would agree.
Want to avoid that. So, and
You don't want to
actually,
have to make that miraculous save, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't want to do that, which is the pastor doesn't want to make the miraculous save. And Dave, Dave just pointed out, Dave Ward from Grimwood Games is going to be coming down. He's going to be running both his. I think he's running both his EZD6 setting for Grimwood City
Fantastic.
and his system that he's using the
Nice.
same setting that he's come out, which is so much fun. And they're both
Cool.
really, really cool. So that would be fun. So if anybody is free for April 12th through 14, you are anywhere near Philadelphia and Palmyra, New Jersey, come on, pop out for that, which would be great. And then when you're at Green Dragon Inn, I'll just be in the background going, oh, go. It's so bad. It's sad. I'm just a sad, pathetic little child. It's really what it is. No, that's going to be absolutely a blast. I can't wait to see the reports that come out from that. So that'll be cool.
I'm sure we'll all have videos and stuff about it, and all that.
Yeah,
kind of thing,
and I hope at some point you can get to come out to PAX U just to see that.
Oh yeah. I've never made it out there, and I would like to.
It's a neat little con. I mean, it's basically my experience with big cons, which is supposedly the small con, the small big con. I don't know what that means, but that's what it is. Like, so someone was describing it. It was like going to a family reunion because it wasn't like so huge. But it's a really neat space, and it's really fun. So if you ever come out for that, I would love to hang out.
Cool.
So
yeah.
Listen, I'm going to say goodbye to them. I'm going to put you on off screen for a little bit. Please stick around so I can just thank you properly. And everybody say goodbye to Scotty. Scotty, say goodbye to everybody else. And,
hey, thanks for stopping by.
Awesome. Thanks for the questions, folks. And thank you for all the comments. And for folks who just tuned in, some people just like, oh no, I'm late. I'm like, the replay will be there. Please watch and have some fun.
That's the great thing about it.
Stick around, Scotty. I'll talk to you in a second. I'll be right back. So thank you, folks. This was absolutely a blast. My first return visitor with Scotty coming on, or first return guest. Really, really cool. Wasted World sounds amazing. I cannot wait to give Drive-Thru RPG more of my money so Scotty can get it. And this should be a really fun addition to EZD6. If you've not tried EZD6, do yourself a favor, at least pick up the PDF and go get it. I purchased that book, and like I said, this is my go-to for writing one-shot adventures at this point because it's so much fun. So coming up for me, I am about halfway, maybe 2/3 of the way through The Land of M, the core rulebook for that. I'm going to try to get that done so I can do my review for it next week. I am going to try to finish Marvel's Multiverse, which is not working out that really well for me because it doesn't think the way I think. So I'm going to try to power through it and get it done. And also I am what am I? I was just, I have for this week, for my scripted video that I'm going to do, is I'm going to talk about the process of one of the reasons why I like running Numenera, and that's because it's so easy to create monsters for it. So that's what I'm going to be talking about a little bit later this week. I hope you all have a lot of fun playing and that you enjoyed this interview today. And until we see each other again, folks, happy playing, everyone.